Hello and welcome to Fantastic AV Voyage, a spontaneously fresh podcast about all things AV and not so much AV from two AV insiders. My name is Richard Mitchell and my co-host for today is Michael Hooper. Hooper, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, Richard. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. So, I wanted to kick off this first podcast by asking for your AV origin story, kind of like a superhero, which we all are. Where did you start out? How did you get here? How did you land your current position with Biamp, etc.?
How much time do we have for this?
We have 20 minutes. That's the
Okay, great.
goal of this is a 20-minute podcast. We're not going to bore people to death, but at the same time, right. Keep it simple. Give us the Cliff Notes version.
The Cliff Notes version.
Yes.
I played the bassoon.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I got started, I guess. I
Sorry to
played the
hear that.
bassoon and was really interested in computer networking.
Okay.
So
Was
went
this
to
a college thing?
on a bassoon scholarship, but in college I worked for the networking team at the university. So I worked in IT. I don't believe that we had an AV department at the university, and if we did, I never knew who they were.
It was probably the rolling cart days for a
Yeah,
lot of the AV folks still. So
absolutely. So uh, after leaving college and getting a real job, I worked in the symphony world because I had a degree in music because, like I said, I played the bassoon, and I kind of slid over to the venue aspect of it, to the AT&T Performing Arts Center, and then from there, where I got introduced really to open architecture, DSP, and Biamp, I moved over to the manufacturer side of things.
nice.
And here we are today, back at the university.
Back here once again.
How
Nice.
about you? How did you get to sit in that chair today?
So, like many people in AV, especially professional AV, nobody starts out with a goal of I'm going to be a higher education solutions manager for a hardware manufacturer. I actually started out. My undergraduate degree is in teaching, so I have a teaching certificate from the state of Pennsylvania, K through 12 technology education that I did not use at all. I figured out very early on that I love my family and my children, but I don't like other people's children as much as you need to be a teacher. So I did a pivot into kind of marketing and communication. And that was actually when I was hired at my first university, working primarily on websites and print development and marketing communications. And somewhere along the line, somebody handed me a camera and said, "Do you think you could film an event or two?" So I went kind of a tangent into live event production for the university, and I've just kept pivoting into the dragon's den of AV. And the last university I was at, I started out as a core classroom technician at a small school. And by the time I left, I had fooled enough people into being the senior AV design engineer for the university. So it was great, a lot of fun. I love the higher education segment. It keeps you young, and definitely a lot of bad ideas come through, and it's a filtering job to get the best ideas to kind of move forward. So yeah, and then lo and behold, Biamp was hiring a higher education person, and they selected me out of the, I want to say 20 to 30,000 people applied for the job, is how I understand it, and
That is correct.
I was the final candidate. So here I am.
30,001.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
two
That was
now over 2 years later, here I am. Yeah. So, a topic I wanted to touch on for this episode was kind of career focused tips and tricks for technicians with a kind of a focus on higher education. So I'll push this back to you, Hooper. If you were a 20 something, maybe coming out of a technical school, college, or whatever, military, and new to AV, what advice would you give to somebody entering AV right now?
Somebody entering AV right now as a technician, I think I would tell them to study up and get the CTS, get that locked down and taken care of as a technician. That it's such just a valuable tool for you to have. And since it's an professional accreditation, it can kind of go with you everywhere. One of the other things I would say really that goes along with that is really understand the audio space in terms of acoustics and what it means, because I don't feel like there's very many people in our industry that really understand, what RT60 is, or just any random thing out there that has to do with the actual use of acoustics in the environment versus just, well, I clicked on this button and it was supposed to do that thing. Why didn't it?
I, I
So
I definitely see that as, a challenge because so many things are digital now that used to be analog, the video transport, etc., where now everything's very binary, but humans are still an analog device. And if you don't have a fundamental understanding of audio, then you're not going to get very far.
that's correct.
And any other tips or tricks? Like one of mine is just devour as many training opportunities that are out there, especially in higher education. A lot of them are free, and it's a little disheartening when I interact with somebody and they're like, I just don't know what the next step is. And the next step is always for me just go into one of your classrooms, look at all the boxes that are around, write down the name of all the manufacturers and just start engaging with them and saying, I'm going to go, hey, there's a Tron box over here. I'm going to write down the model number and I'm going to take a training that is appropriate for this device so that I understand what's coming in, what's going out. What does a box do?
If I could pile on to
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
get to know your rep. You
yeah.
you write down all the manufacturers' names, right? Well, you take their training, and you're gonna meet somebody. Training is such a valuable tool in our industry, but so is networking, and just knowing people, knowing who's my contact at this company or that company, or who can get me to the next person. It's such a valuable thing. So yes, go do all of the training.
And it's
You
it's
will network.
it's so powerful just having that email address of your rep when something goes a little sideways. It's, hey, what can you do? And maybe you won't get the perfect answer, but you'll get an answer. And being
Yeah.
able to report that up to your manager or the administration, etc., is so meaningful because it shows your value in terms of how you interact with your environments. And folks that don't have that email address or phone number, they're starting at first base or home plate, where if you've got already an established relationship with one of them, you're already on second base. You just have to kind of figure out how to move the process forward from there. So that's a great one. One of my other ones was zoom in. Like, we are living in the golden age of being able to communicate and connect with people. So if there's a local university or a local organization that knows a lot about what you're doing, engage with those people. It's a little surprising when I engage with an end user and they don't know what else is going with their campus, on their campus, or the campus that's next door or down the road or 5 or 10 miles away. I would imagine the people, if they would engage, would, one, they would find a lot of fast friends, and two, they would find a lot of similar problems that they are challenged with, and they may even have some solutions to those challenges.
And how do they engage? That's probably one of the harder parts. If they're not engaging, it's probably because they don't know how.
Yeah. But if I, when, and this is true, when I was at the university, it's a very, as you can imagine, collegiate environment. We routinely interacted with other universities, because I doubt anyone was saying, I'm going to University A because they've got a better projector in one of my classrooms, or, gee, did you see the whiteboard in that location? Sure, there are going to be those kind of beauty projects that are out there, but I mean, it's just like faculty when they collaborate with other faculty from other universities. I never had a university say, well, we can't tell you that because that would give you some kind of a competitive edge. In fact, usually it was the opposite direction where you couldn't get them to be quiet about what they were working on or their thoughts and opinions on different types of things. So it really changed the dynamic when I started engaging with other schools at the university and then other universities, within relatively close proximity to myself and then nationally. So I think there was just a lot of connections and networking that needed to happen. And I think if you just picked up the phone and said, I'm from XYZ Community College and I am interested in chatting with somebody from large regional university just down the road, who would I chat with? I would imagine maybe they're not going to give you their contact information, but they might take your contact information and share it with that individual so that there can be a connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that actually has taken up our 20 minutes. If Richard's been monologuing again, but just wanted to say that wraps up our first episode of Fantastic AV Voyage. Thank you for joining us, and feel free to send us a message, or if there's a topic that you would like us to discuss, or possibly have you on the podcast, feel free to ping us. How would they get a hold of you, Mr. Hooper?
You can get me at my email address right there. It is michael.hooper@biamp.com.
And I am richard.mitchell@biamp.com and AV Miser on Twitter. And thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.